The world's on lockdown because of COVID-19. You're stuck inside, but you still want to fly your drone around? Well, stay tuned because this is the world's smallest HD drone. G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, get pumped, get excited, because like I mentioned, this is the HD of the future. This is the BETA65X HD, and this little bad boy is the smallest HD recorder out there. So this little drone does some amazing stuff. We're going to break it down, put it on the bench, look at the text and the specs, most importantly, go for a flight and show you just what it's like. But let me roll you some footage, get set to get stunned, because how many of you are used to footage like this? And then all of a sudden now you can turn that footage that you're seeing into footage like this. So you can see it is an absolute just godsend that now we have a tiny little drone that has some crazy HD capabilities that is also ultra light. And I also should say a bit of a bonus too, a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters, because as much as I love this drone, the link's going to be down below, I am going to also give it away to one of my Patreons out there. So definitely if you support me on Patreon, it helps me make this content, share this message of FPV, get people flying. So if you enjoy my content, you're thinking about signing up, the link for that's down below as well, and somebody out there is going to be winning this exact little one. So what we're going to do, let's break it down. First things first, as a bit of an overview in the roof cam, and I should say also, it also binds up to my Crossfire, so we're getting some crazy good range, good reception, and most of all, that gorgeous HD footage. So what is this? It is a tiny little whoop-sized drone. It takes 2S, and the big one, you can fly this around indoors as much as your heart desires. It's not going to damage anything, but it can record in some HD footage. So like you saw at the start of this video, you are getting some of the best footage we've ever seen in a tiny little craft. So the world's smallest HD drone, and that is no mean feat. I mean, it's been a long time coming, and I think if you're going to be taking this to whoop races or anything like that, this is going to be something, if you're not going for the podium, but you just want to have some fun and watch the flight footage later, everybody loves watching HD. So let's stick it on the scales. It does take, I've got two batteries in here. They're just some Beta batteries with the special connectors on the end. They're 300 milliamp hours. Let's put it on the scales, tear it off, and let me get this in here and click tear. So we're all nice and zeroed in. So the total thing for this HD recorder is coming in at under 50 grams. So we have a 50 gram flying drone that records in HD. That is absolutely bonkers. And the best bit, like I mentioned, it can bind up straight to my Tango 2. There's a bunch of different receivers out there, but now we've also got some Crossfire options. A lot of people are gonna be very, very happy. So let's do it. Before we jump in and have a look at some of the footage and flying around, let's quickly go through some of the components. Starting at the outside end, you can see it's just got this sort of standard whoop style frame. Underneath, we've got those two batteries, like I mentioned, with the new, I think they're the PH2 connectors or the BT2 connectors. I'll put a little annotation on the screen anyway. They're meant to offer a bit better juice in terms of the amount of amps that you can draw down sustainably. Also underneath, like I mentioned, we have our little Crossfire micro receiver, which is brilliant. I love that you don't have to rely on the inbuilt boards anymore. We should be getting much better range. Towards the outside, we've just got some 802s. I think they're 14,000 kV motors, some little gem fan, tri-blade props on the top. And then in the middle, we've just got our standard F4 flight controller all in one. I think it's the V2 or something. I'll put another annotation on the screen. And on top of that, we have some of the magic. It's on my phone because there's no actual website page up at the moment of this recording. So there might be something different when this video is published, but the only thing I have some info on my phone that was messaged through to me, it is the Beta Nano HD cam, but I believe that might just be a rebranded tiny micro CADX or something in there. But I can tell you, whoever is making it, it is doing an awfully good job when it comes to recording that HD. Now let's move on, talk about the designer thing, and I have to give this thing, you can tell I'm excited, 10 out of 10. This is the whoop that so many people are gonna want. I have never flown a drone that's quite so good in such a tiny little form factor for indoors and recording HD. Yes, there's been some others, but they always seem to have some limitation, whether it be how they fly, all that sort of stuff. They have done their work when it comes to building something so light, under 50 grams, and it really shows in its handling. It is easy to fly, it feels good. Something's beeping away over there. I think I just turned my GoPro on somehow. It feels good to fly in the air, and it's just amazing flying this thing around, and being able to watch that footage back is outstanding. If we move on, talk about the quality of the thing. Well, Beta FPV, they've been around for a long time. They make some top-notch gear, and I've got to say, from the footage, the flight characteristics, and the components, I'm very happy with it. 10 out of 10 as well. And then the pros and cons before we go out and we talk about it and show you the footage where your draw is going to drop. And I can see so many people out there thinking, this is what I want. This is where I want to fly around. I'm stuck inside anyway because of these stupid quarantine laws, this is what I want. I can turn my entire house into a race course and watch that footage back, make some cool videos, show it to my friends. And then the pros and the cons. Well, the cons are, at the moment, it takes these new batteries, which are better, but many people, if you've already got a stockpile of Whoop batteries, you're gonna need to buy some new ones of these because you just wanna keep flying all the time. It does come with two, but it takes two batteries at once, or you're gonna have to cut this off if you wanna use the traditional connector and swap those out. So that's an option for some people. The other part, I gotta say, for a 2S quad, it's not quite as powerful as some of the other 2S ones out there. It more feels like a really, really light 1S. So it's got plenty of pep, still zips around. Reminds me if it kind of feels like the Mob 6 in the air. It is great to fly, but you are gonna notice that tiny little bit of extra weight because it's got two packs on here, but it's sort of compensated with that power as well. And then let's move on, talk about the pros. And this is where people are gonna be very, very excited. We have the world's lightest HD recording capable drone. It's brushless. It's gonna be very durable, fly around. I love the frame. It's easy to do turtle mode. If you get stuck, you can flip it over like you're gonna see in the video. It records in HD, which is amazing. It's not gonna scare anybody. It's got great flight characteristics. It doesn't get hung up on things. It doesn't wobble around. You can bounce it off things. You're gonna see me smash it into a few things in the flight you're about to see. It's just all around the drone that a lot of people are gonna want. And if you are into footage, if you are into whoops and you've been looking at getting something, this is definitely gonna be up so many people's alleys. And on top of that, the final one that's kind of like what's the opposite to nail in the coffin? Something that's awesome as well is you also can get some things for you inbuilt receive. You can get some external receivers that come out of the box like this for these bind and flies. If you've got TBS, if you've got some other receivers, all that sort of stuff, this is just going to be able to bind straight up to it depending on what version you're going to get, and you are going to get far, far superior range with something like this. So overall, I got to say, Beta FPV, this has been so much fun. I'm kind of going to be a little bit sad once I post it away to you Patreon supporters out there, but let's do it. Enough rambling. You can hear that noisy car outside. Let's go for a rip around the house. I wish I could take it some other places and fly it around outdoors a little bit more and all that sort of stuff, but we are stuck under a bit of quarantine right now. All the parks have been closed in my area, so I don't know. Thanks very much, virus, but let's roll that footage, and I can't wait to show you, and I just want to see what you guys think as well, because tell me if you are not impressed that a drone under 50 grams is able to do this. So let's go have some fun in 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, here we go, and you've got to forgive me because we've got a newborn in the house. Of course, it's going to be a little bit messy when things are going crazy, and we can't even leave the house as well. So here we are, flying around. My daughter's having a good time. She loves sort of watching these drones, flying around, chasing them, all that sort of stuff. But let's get in. Talk about this drone. You can tell I'm excited. I shouldn't be clapping next to the microphone, but the footage. You've got to remember, this is a tiny drone under 50 grams, and check this stuff out. It is absolutely next level that now we have a Whoop that is so small that can fly well and give this footage back. So if you're, and check out this for a bit of an impact, straight into the sink, bounced off like it was nothing. But if you are in the market for a Whoop, maybe you've got a couple, but you want something that can record in HD, there is no better option on the market right now. It's great to fly. There's no oscillations. It's got plenty of zip. I do wish I could give it a bit more punch. I could take it out to a park because it does have a fair bit of power on 2S, but it's easy to shoot those tiny gaps. Very, very stable. And my favorite part, check it out. You can record this. Can you imagine going to your friends' houses, having Whoop races? Everyone loves sort of racing their friends, flying around, having a good time. But now you can make some awesome compilations, post them to YouTube, actually watch those flights back, watch those close calls, explore your house in a new way, maybe blow your neighbor's mind or your relative's mind when you say, hey, check out this little movie I made. They won't be able to believe that drones can do this. Now, right here, also awesome example of turtle mode. So if it gets stuck somewhere, if you crash into something, you need to flip it over, just simply pop the switch on turtle mode, which it comes with, and then you are up, flip it off, and you are ready to flip it off. That doesn't sound correct, but you are ready to go flying again. You can see my daughter might have been a bit upset that we had turtle mode because she does love to sort of go and get them and all that sort of stuff. I said, oh, it's flat. Maybe it needs a new battery, but because these ones can just right themselves, it's going to save people who don't want to walk and go pick their drone up when they crash. They can just flick that little switch, it flips over, and then you are ready back off to the races, flying around, recording, having fun. So overall, I got to say, Beta FPV, this has been one of the most enjoyable Whoops I have flown in a long time. I wasn't the biggest fan of the original 65, and I thought the Mob 6 was better, but because this one, it's very, very stable, and because it does the HD recording, it is just absolutely next level. Kind of like the dream drone, which we all wish we started with. So I know back in like 2015, this really was the end goal. I used to sort of say to your friends, imagine having a drone that could record HD and be able to fly around in that sort of Whoop style, and just flying around inside was sort of a dream, but let alone here we are, 2020, things definitely have come a long way. So overall, I got to say, hats off to them. You are definitely going to be enjoying this one if you're in the market for a HD recording Whoop. Rightio, so there it is. There's my review of the BETA65X HD. Bit of a mouthful trying to say all that, but the world's smallest HD drone. And I've got to say, I am absolutely in love. Now look, I'm going to try and put some links down below. There's definitely going to be one to the Beta FPV site. Keep refreshing that. I'm sure when this thing does come out, it's going to sell like hotcakes, so try and get in if you can. But at the moment of this recording, there is no link. There is no information available online. If you try and search the thing, there's not going to be too much because it is just fresh off the press, and hopefully there might be a page by the time this goes up. But if not, keep checking out a Beta FPV. And also, huge shout out to my patrons. The link's down below if you're considering signing up. A huge thank you, a massive appreciation. I couldn't do this without your support, and especially in times like this, it means an awful lot to me to still be sharing this message of FPV. So if you ever thought about signing up, the link's down below. And on top of that, someone out there is going to be winning one of these bad boys. So those Patreon supporters, hopefully, when this turns up to one of you guys, you can share some videos, have some fun, and do it in beautiful HD. I'm a huge fan of this thing, and I'm just going to fly it around a bit more before sending it off because I know it's going to be so much fun. There's so many things I have actually wanted to do, make tiny little race courses, but still, I always like watching my footage back, and that DVR never really cuts it. Now we can do it in HD. Well, it's a whole different game. So anyway, other than that, subscribe for more FPV related content. Huge shout out to Beta FPV. I really like this one. I think you've smashed it out of the park. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying. Happy quarantine, but still happy flying now you're indoors. Let's get that FPV action on.